Today we are going to talk about self-love and how to learn to love yourself. Now, I have noticed that women try to go about this in a lot of different ways, but most of those don't work. And so I'm going to give you some do's and don'ts with this. And we will first look at what not to do, because I'll describe to you what self-love is not. Then I'm going to go into what it does look like. And lastly, I'm going to let you know what it is that you do actually need to do in order to learn to love yourself. Well, if you don't know me, let me introduce myself. My name's Tawnya Kordenbrock, and I am the person behind arenewedlife.com, where I help women who are overcomers. They've had to overcome significant hurts from their past and even in their current lives. And I help them to develop new ways to cope so that they can decrease anxiety, break free from depression, develop self-compassion, and to be able to feel respected and valued in their relationships. Now today, I do have a free resource for you that's going to help you with self-image, so I hope you'll take advantage of that, and I will have a link to that in the description below, but also I'll tell you a little bit more about it later. Let's start with looking at what self-love is not, and the way that you should not go about it. Because a lot of times what you try to do is to tell yourself that you are okay, that everything about you is terrific, and anytime you feel bad, it's almost like you just lift yourself up way up to here, like you are, and try to convince yourself that you are incredible. And then anybody who says anything about you negatively, then you just, put them on the garbage pile, and they are worthless. You don't care about them. You just want them out of your life. You consider them toxic. But this is not self-love. Besides trying to convince yourself that you're great, you're perfect, there's nothing wrong with you, everything should be acceptable. Another thing that you might do in order to develop self-love that doesn't work either is, it's similar, but this is just pushing away any kind of negative thoughts that you might have about yourself. So whenever you are feeling bad, you're feeling guilty, you're feeling depressed, feeling anxious, then you just don't even look at any of those thoughts and instead you fight to get rid of them. Maybe you look up self-love affirmations, or you look up biblical affirmations, and you put those, all over your mirror and all over your house, and so that you are constantly just looking at them. And I'm not saying that those aren't good, that they aren't helpful, but what they don't do is they don't bring lasting change and the deep change that needs to occur within you. Now, a third thing that women tend to do in their attempts to love themselves is they will demand respect from others and just insist, that you pay attention to me, that you listen to me, and if you're not listening to me, then I'm going to speak louder, I'm going to criticize you and put you down, and make sure you give me the attention and the respect that I deserve. But you know what? This also is not genuinely loving yourself. The last part of this section that I want to discuss with you, and as far as ways that women try to love themselves that don't really work, is to have shame about the fact that they have shame. And they're just disgusted with themselves, that they feel the way they do about themselves, that they see themselves the way that they do. And so they just want to be someone else. They just want to be a person who feels good about themselves, who values themselves. And you really can't do that. And it's unrealistic to expect that this is going to happen. Okay, so we've looked at what self-love is not. Now let's take a look at what it really is, what it really does look like. And there are going to be two parts to this. The first part is a peace and acceptance for who you really are, the good and the bad. And if you have low self-esteem, if you've had significant hurts in your past, you may not really trust the good that others see in you. And you may consider that as fake, phony, just manipulation, a way that you fool people, that they think you're good, but you're not really good. At least that's what you tell yourself. So in order to have self-love, you have to be able to make peace with the good parts of you and accept that, yeah, you do have some parts of you that have learned to cope really well in life. And then also, you need to come to peace and acceptance with the parts of you that don't work out so well. What you might call the bad parts, I don't call them actually bad parts, but parts that don't work well in life. And it doesn't mean that you accept them in a way that says, well, it's just who I am, it's just who I'm going to be, and it's going to stay the same, and everyone has to be either happy about it or ignore it. Okay, we've already talked about that in point 1 of what self-love does not look like. But here's what I mean. In order to have compassion for and to be accepting of what is not working out well within you, that you have to be able to consider these parts as what has developed within you as a means of coping with these past hurts, and also to see them as not the whole of who you are. So if you have a part of you that is highly anxious in relationships, that is insecure, that doubts that others can love you, that thinks that something is wrong with you, that you are too fat, too ugly, too stupid, or whatever, that this is only a part of you that feels this way. There also are those good parts, or those parts that work out well, that feels confident in some situations, and that has creativity, and that is able to communicate with people, that's able to do research and analyze and organize. So all of these parts make up the whole of who you are. And to have self-love is to have compassion for and acceptance that these are all parts of you, and that they can be improved upon, and that they can be changed. Now, true self-love also is based upon, or is not based upon what others think of you, is not based upon what you can accomplish, not based upon what you have accomplished, what you haven't accomplished, how much money you have or don't have, your appearance, your skills, your talents. It is not based on that. True self-love is based on who you are at the core as a person who has been created in the image of God. So if you are going to have the most solid self-love that you can have, you want to base that on your faith in God and how He has love for you, and that because He has created you in His image. Now let's look at how you come to love yourself. And this has to be learned. It's not going to just happen. You can't make yourself do it. Just be a person who loves yourself. You have to learn. It is a process because you have had a lifetime of events, of interactions with others, of people's hurtful words and treatment of you, or ignoring you, that has impacted you. And it has shaped how you view yourself. It's shaped how you view others and how you view just how life works. Now, what this also means in this shaping that has occurred is that you have developed response patterns of how you will react when you come across any type of indicators that someone is going to reject you, that someone's going to hurt you, or you feel like you have failed at something. You run into challenges that you seem to be unable to overcome. So that's going to kick in this response pattern that's going to trigger some automatic thoughts about yourself, about others, about life, and how bad they are, how it's not going to work out for you, how something is wrong with you. And then that is going to also impact how you respond with your body, in that you probably either become defensive, or you shut down, you withdraw, you run away from these situations. You possibly become depressed and stay there for a while. So that's a response pattern that needs to be changed. That gets changed by developing an awareness of this pattern. And as you can do that, and you can make small shifts to the pattern, what that actually does is changes the neurons within your brain and these neural pathways that have been formed by this response pattern. And changing this response pattern and creating these new pathways for how to respond and how to automatically look at what's going on, be able to see all of your options there, and to be able to see more clearly, to be able to stay in a situation and to check out what others are really meaning, and what they say to you and how they respond to you, instead of the pattern just automatically kicking in that says the problem is you, that something is wrong with you. Now, I do teach this some in a lot of my videos, so you can check those out, but also I go into major detail with this and walk you step by step through this in my Mastering Emotions program. So you can find that in the link also. But today, what I have for you as a free resource is a little bit of a guide that's going to use scripture to help you become aware of how this pattern works within you. And I want to pause just a moment here to mention, now, if you are aware of the verses in Romans 12:1 and 2 that talk about being transformed by the renewing of your mind, this is a very much what that is talking about, but what I've explained to you is coming from a neurological viewpoint. But those verses talk about, not being, like if this is you, to not being shaped to how the world has trained you to see life and to see yourself, how it's trained you to see other people's view of you and their availability and their ability to love you and care about you. But instead, to change this shaping, to shape it around how God views you and the reality of who you are. So this resource that I have for you will help you in that also. Let me know if you have found this helpful, and which of these have you tried yourself that hasn't worked. Have you tried that of the affirmations? Have you tried just wanting to be different and kind of yelling at yourself to quit what you're doing, just be a person who is confident and loves yourself? Have you demanded that others respect you and love you? Are any of those, have you seen any of those turning up in your life? Let me know below. Have a great day. Bye now.